Lolo, do you remember what was the original name of this ancient city here before it became Dan? Laish. Laish was the original name, okay, in a dialect, local dialect of the Canaanites. And by the way, even today in the Hebrew language, Laish means a lion, a young lion. Okay, so what you see now before your very eyes, is the original gate into the Canaanite city of Laish. Okay, these were the walls and the gate that the Danites attacked when they captured the city. Okay, we just read the account in the book of Judges how they came upon them suddenly, and these people here were unsuspecting. They were taken by surprise, and not before long, the Danites, level the city and then rebuild it and rename it Dan. So these are traces of the original city of Laish that stood here for thousands of years, even before the arrival of the Danites. Now, if you look more closely at the gate, you see dark mud, okay, right there in the center. This is where the gates were at, okay? Just try to imagine these heavy wooden doors, okay, instead of that dark mud. And then around them, you see the pattern on the surface there. Look at the facade of that gate. These are mud bricks. See that? Okay, this was the common way of construction throughout the Canaanite era. Next time you think about the walls of Jericho that came tumbling down, this is what you should have in mind. Also, remember the Israelites who were slaves in Egypt. Remember what they were forced to do? Bricks, mud bricks. So that was a very common method of construction back then. Yeah, without they had to cut the straw. That's right. But they had molds, okay, and that's how they made these mud bricks. So the oldest and first reference in the scriptures, the Old Testament, to this ancient city is in fact not in the book of Judges, but rather in the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible. And Genesis 14:14 reads that when Abraham heard about the capture of Lot, his relative, by a group of enemies who came and attacked Sodom, he went in pursuit after him as far as Dan. Okay? Only that back in the days of Abraham, it wasn't yet called Dan. Okay, it was called Laish. So you can really tell that the one who wrote the account was probably living at a time when the name of the city had already been changed to Dan. But in any case, Abraham makes a pursuit, after these enemies, all the way up and even beyond this point, right? And eventually he rescues Lot as well as the rest of the inhabitants of Sodom. Well, guess what? I mean, he most likely walked through that very gate because Abraham had several hundreds of men with him that were trained in his home, and they had horses with them. They had all kinds of animals as well, and so this is where they would resupply in places like Dan. So when you look at the surface in front of the gate, leading to the gate, you can almost picture Abraham and his men walking right through there, and of course into the city, which was on the other side. Now, the arch around the gate is considered to be the oldest, most ancient arch in the world. Okay? It dates back almost 4,000 years, back to the time of Abraham. And one of the biggest challenges currently is to do with the preservation of this gate. As long as it was buried under tons of rubble, it was safe. But now that it's exposed to the elements, it is quite a challenge. And so that's why they built an awning, but even that will not do. And one of the biggest hazards in recent years has been the birds. You see the holes right there. They start nesting there, and this is quite a major concern.